Hello, puppies and kittens. Welcome to January 6th. Not that one, a different one. But, yeah. Kind of the same way in that, we're still gonna lose a good chunk of our government, according to all the threats I've heard. Co-hosting with me tonight is Brian Dalton, also known as Mr. Deity. Brian, great to see you again.
That's good. I was hoping that Kamala would reject the certification, but I guess that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about that whole thing about, you can't serve as president if you've been involved in an insurrection. What the hell happened there?
Yeah.
Was that the extreme court decided to do that?
It is. Yeah. Good people.
Okay.
Good people.
Okay. Well, as usual, what we do on this show is we take. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I refer to them as it's the Holy Roman Empire Strikes Back. So many of them are Roman Catholics on the court.
I got you.
Little Star
So what we
Wars
usually do on this show, we take calls from people, preferably people who want to argue with us a little bit, and people who have a different point of view or maybe no point of view, but they think there's a superior. And I look forward to the ones that tell me how scared I am to debate them, as if it would be possible to be scared of somebody in a debate.
Yeah.
But then,
it's so funny because I did this whole series. It's the first one released today on Ian HOSTility, her interview with Alex O'Connor, and she talks about how atheists, we're just so certain. We're so certain. I'm like, who the hell is she talking about? I'm not certain. And if something comes up, this is the beauty of me to be in terms of being like atheism really is a free thing. Like if I discover I'm wrong, I can just change my mind. I don't have like my whole life doesn't revolve around this not being something. You know what I mean? So why would anyone be afraid to debate from our side? I could definitely see it on the other side, because there you lose everything that's soothing your existential angst, giving you purpose and meaning, and all of that stuff that they drive into. You will have none of once you leave. There's a lot to lose there. Also, family and friends and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I would lose family and friends. I know, no family. I don't think I would lose friends even if I decided to become religious. I just need some evidence. That would help.
Yeah, well, that's the argument that was made moments before I jumped into the show today. Somebody sends me a message telling me about all this evidence of creation that I'm ignoring. Of course, it wouldn't tell me what any of this evidence is. I've got to crowbar it out of people. What is your evidence? Whoa, my book of magic fables said so. That's what it usually comes down to. Yeah,
right.
I read Aesop's fables, and it says that
yeah.
donkeys can talk, and so therefore,
Right. Or some scientist who's paid to tell you otherwise, to screw with the science.
Yeah,
there's quite a few of those out there.
And usually, honestly, the evidence, if it's not just going to be, well, Scripture said so, if it is anything more than that, it's usually a logical fallacy. I don't understand anything, therefore magic.
Right. And why?
So
if
you're listening in, and you think you've got some of these facts and evidence that I am ignoring, what is it? Show me. Evidence, of course, is going to be a body of facts, right? It's going to be a fact that indicates the simplest definition. So, what is a fact? Well, a fact is a point of data that we can verify mutually is actually true. It's either we both understand or accept that it is true, or we can show that it's true, right? It's either not in dispute or it's indisputable in that we can objectively verify it. So show me something that we can both show is actually factually true and is also positively indicative of and exclusively concordant with creationism. I've got lots of facts like that to support evolution. To date, I've been doing this for a quarter century or more. I have never heard one actual fact that lines up with creationism. There is just logical fallacies. I don't understand it, therefore magic. And the Bible said so, or the Bhagavad Gita said so, or the Quran said so, and therefore that's it. So that's
Right.
those are
Right.
fallacies. Logical fallacies are not evidence. You need an actual fact. Yeah.
I would be
And
totally
frauds aren't
okay
going to
with
cut it either.
therefore magic. Exactly. I would be totally okay with if therefore magic if we still had therefore magic. But all the magic happened in the past without without video cameras, without sound recordings. And then somehow the second we got fact checkers, the magic stopped. Well, was it really magic in the first place then, or was it maybe people making up stories? I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe it was just people making shit up.
You know
Could
what I'm
be.
getting now?
Could be.
You know what I've seen claims of
Hmm.
evidence now? I've seen a couple of times believers have said that they've managed to get AI to say things that are supportive of God's existence.
Oh, I'm
AI.
sure you can.
I'm
Yeah.
sure that AI has authority and knowledge.
It knows all. It knows all.
Yep. And
Well, maybe it'll.
we surprisingly still don't have a caller, and we usually do by now. So let me take this opportunity, Brian, and tell us about your channel, because this is your first time here, right? You haven't been on the line before, right?
I don't know if I have or not. I might have been with Jimmy once way back.
Okay.
I hope Jimmy's okay. I haven't talked to Jimmy for a while. Um, yeah, the channel started back 18 years ago in 2007, and the channel took off like crazy. I mean, we were getting hundreds of thousands of views on. It started with something called Mr. Deity and the Evil, where Mr. Deity and his long suffering servant Larry are going over the evils that are going to be allowed in this new universe that he's just created and he's already unhappy with. Mr. Deity is not the God, he is a God. And he was denied a creation event by the conglomerate because he couldn't pass the psych test. So he had anger issues. They wouldn't let him. Um, allow him a creation event. So this universe is a rogue universe. It's they didn't have quite the budget to make things right, and so that's the explanation for why it's all messed up. He has his buddy Jesus, who he can't remember his name, constantly calls him Jesse, and then my ex-wife played Lucy or Lucifer, and we got picked up by Sony after the first season, and we did the show for them for a bit, and then we got the show back because corporations, that kind of thing. And I won't say I won't say another word. They were very generous in giving us the show back. And since then, we've all kind of split off into our own little worlds. Jimbo, who played Larry, is in North Carolina. Um, Sean is way up north now. I can't even remember the city he's in. So we don't do much deity anymore. I do a show maybe once or twice a year, Mr. Deity, but I do kind of skeptic slash secular slash atheist activism with a little bit more of a talking head thing and some clever little pop-ups that pop up on the side that hopefully entertain you with their comedic value. So I've been doing that for a while now.
The
Some
weekend
of
that
our
I
stuff
met
has been
you,
very elaborate. Yeah.
the weekend that I met you at the James Randi Educational Foundation, JREF, what was it? What was the name of those
Yeah.
events that we go on every year?
Oh,
At
TAM,
what was it? Yes, the
the
amazing
amazing
meeting.
meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and what a wild affair that was. Um,
Yeah.
Driving home from that, we're driving back to Texas from Las Vegas through a wide side trip, going out through the desert for hours and hours. My son is in the car, and he comes up impromptu with a nice little skit where I'm talking to you, but I'm Odin. And
Right.
it was just off the cuff, we're just talking as we're driving along, and there's like four of us in the car, and he's telling this thing about all giving off the lines and everything, and it was hysterical. Like, this is perfect. I can't wait to tell Deity about this thing that we came up with, and I don't have an explanation for how we forgot every line of that by the time we
Oh
got all the
no.
way home.
Oh no.
No way to record
Oh
it on the road
no.
trip, but Yeah, but it was fun
Well, shoot.
while it happened in our minds.
Do you remember what year that was?
Ooh, man. I think I was at a couple of them, and my son was with me at both of them. I want to say it was the very first one. So there was the bacon and donuts party. That was the second one. You weren't there for that one, were you? Were you?
Um, I
Penn
started
Jillette
going
was
in
playing in a
2000.
band.
I started going in
He
2008, I think, and then I went every year until the final year. So
okay.
from 2008 on, I don't know when it's started. I don't remember when it
Yeah,
started.
it's a lot harder trip for me, and I
Yeah.
had a lot going on. I'm stuck way out in Texas, so I mean it's more than a day's drive just to get to the end of Texas, much less have to go through
Oh my
New Mexico,
gosh.
Arizona, get to Nevada and all that. You're just over
A
there in
4 hour
California,
drive for me.
so it's a short
Yeah.
jaunt.
4 hours. I can do it in 3.5.
Oh, good. I
In
can't
fact,
drive
I've done it
55.
even faster, but I don't want to say anymore.
Probably wise. The bacon and donuts party I remember was pretty fun. There was some girl up, like she was playing guitar on stage with Penn Jillette, and if I remember correctly, she was redheaded and topless and playing
Oh,
guitar.
I missed that.
And then and this was like and so Penn was also topless at the same time, but I somehow I managed not to notice that. And then several months later, we went to a show in Austin, and the girl taking tickets at the window, my son recognized her that she was the girl that was playing bass in Nevada. I'm like, how? She's fully clothed. I'm like, how did you recognize her? Some people have a better
Oh,
memory for
that's
faces, but yeah, it turned out
yes,
that
yeah.
was the same girl. Anyway, that was a good time.
And and Penn being topless doesn't have quite the appeal for me. I don't
Yeah.
know. Uh, yeah,
All right, we've got a
but I
couple of
love
calls
Penn.
ready. We got a couple
Okay.
of calls ready, so let me see. We have AI in Utah, who is a theist and apparently wants to argue that Christianity is true. AI, you're on the line. AI. Oh, there he went.
Maybe it's I.
Al. Yeah, don't know what happened with that. We've got another one we can pick up. This is we're talking to Mary, and she wants to talk about politics. Mary, you there?
Yes, I am. How you doing tonight?
It's all right. It's all
Good. Hi,
right. At least I'm
Mary.
not in Florida.
Yeah, it sucks, but I'm I'm so disgusted. How the fuck did Trump win? Help me.
Because people are stupid, and a lot of
I
them lie
agree.
for a living. So Trump said he was going to bring down your grocery bill, and then after he got elected, he admitted that he doesn't know how to bring down a grocery bill. And he's instead of bringing down the grocery bill, what he's going to do is he's going to increase the deficit. He's going to crash the economy. He's going to create a bunch of tax breaks for corporations and billionaires that will cost the regular people. And he's going to make everything suck for everybody, except for him and his billionaire bros.
Yeah, and with the whole immigration deportation thing, does he not realize that the immigrants harvest the food and
Remember,
if
he's not big on actually doing things.
Or
He
knowing
doesn't even
things.
have plans. He just makes
He
campaign
has he
promises he can't back up.
he has concepts of plans.
Yeah, he's got a concept of a plan for healthcare that he'll be coming out with in 2 weeks, and he's been saying
Yes.
that for 9 years.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like with today being January 6th and the certification, it's like I'm ill. My stomach is in knots. I, I don't know. I thought there were enough, and maybe this is ignorant on my part. I thought there was enough doctors and lawyers and business people and to vote for Kamala, and the stupidity of the American, I guess the majority of Americans just,
Well, let's think about this because you can't let the leftists win because leftists are the ones who are more concerned with human rights than with corporate greed. So that, of course, is why the corporations are telling you to hate the leftists. And you can't let the nation fall into wokeism because the woke people are the ones who are showing compassion for other people's situations. And so we can't have compassion and we can't have concern for the workers. It's got to be it's got to be all about the next fiscal quarter for the billionaire class and nothing else, and shut up. And so we're all being manipulated by legacy media, and I mean all of it. I'm sorry to say. Gone are the
yeah.
New
Walter
media
Cronkite
too.
days. Yeah, yeah, and there are some programs that are, and I wish I could remember the names of them right now. There's 2 or 3 of them that are advertising and choosing some people like ourselves to run as sponsors for them, where they're trying to have news so that you can take the bias out, if that is your concern,
Ground
so that you can
news.
see where the biases are and then just get a straightforward line. That would be great,
Ground
but
news.
nobody's.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
few of us really care about minimizing the bias? Too many people just want to believe what they want to believe, and they will actively look for the things that will reinforce their beliefs, even if they already know that it's not really true.
I don't know. Am I going to have to increase my antidepressant meds for the next 4 years? I
Just
keep
turn
my
off the
psychiatrist.
TV. Just
Well,
unplug.
hopefully it'll stop in 4 years,
Uh,
because
Yeah.
the plan is that they keep going.
Right.
who keeps going? What? Clarify that for me, hon.
Trump and his minions.
Want a third term,
Oh, fuck.
and they want to control the way that people vote. Lauren Boebert said that the average American has too many rights and that people should not be able to choose who their politicians are, that it should be politicians choosing who the politicians are, and that all the elections should be done like in a parliamentary fashion, not by the people, but just among the political elite. So it's like the deep state gone mad.
Well, she reads on a 6th grade level, so she's never read the Constitution, in my opinion. I was a teacher
You
for
don't have
30
to tell
years.
me how stupid Lauren Boebert is, but just think about the fact that she was re-elected. Lauren
God.
Boebert was re-elected. Marjorie Taylor
Right.
Greene was re-elected. Ted Cruz
Reelected.
keeps getting re-elected. So the problem isn't that these politicians are stupid. These politicians are incredibly stupid. But their constituency are utterly brain dead.
Yeah, they're dumber than the politicians. So I I
Yeah.
I, I'm sorry to call and just vent, but it's like I couldn't. I watched a little bits and pieces of the certification today, and Mike Johnson was so fucking smug, you know, and it, I guess I'm just going to have an upset stomach for 4 years. That's what I see happening.
Yeah, well, I hope it's
And,
all going to be just 4 years. The
well,
Onion did a nice little skit. You know how nowadays you can't even tell if it's real news or The Onion. So The Onion
Yeah.
did
right.
this awful skit where they said that we're all absolutely fucked, just completely fisted, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. And the only positive thing we can say is it'll all be over soon.
Oh, not soon enough. But my
Yeah,
concern,
dark
my
humor at its
husband,
best. Anyway, there's
my
nothing we can
concern.
do to change that, and I do have a couple other callers lining up. So, would it be sufficient to take this topic for another time?
Well, thank you for listening to me, bitch.
We
Mary,
share
I
that
really
bit.
do want to tell. I really do want to tell you. Watch out for your mental health in this situation, and I'm serious. Because if you can't take it, just tune out.
Yeah,
I know people. I'm pretty much that way. I'm canceling my cable or my satellite rather, and I just don't want to know. I just want to until the midterms. I just don't want to know. So I'm
Oh, I'm
checking
still
yeah,
out.
there.
yeah. And I have a psychiatrist appointment on Thursday who I've seen for years,
Well,
and I don't like too strong of an antidepressant where it makes me indifferent. If that makes sense. I'm on the
go
lowest
with
dose possible.
Wellbutrin. Wellbutrin XL is what you want. Wellbutrin
I,
XL.
I'm on
This,
Lexapro,
yeah,
but
we are
I
Oh,
not
don't
okay.
giving
want.
medical
All right.
advice in this show.
I
Yeah.
know that, but I don't want so much where I'm just indifferent and don't care because I'm a very compassionate humanist, secular humanist, atheist, far left liberal, and I can't not care about people that this administration is looking to hurt, and the racism and against the
Uh,
LGBTQ. I can't
I
stand it.
get you.
But thank you for letting me bitch tonight, guys.
Good
Thank you.
night.
All right. Good
Thank
night.
you. Have a good evening.
All right. And now we're going to jump to, we're going to always prioritize theists. And I've got one in the wings. This is Dirk in California, dude, who says,
Yeah,
maybe you just rejected the gods you don't like.
exactly.
Dirk, can you
Yeah.
explain that, please?
Well, so some of the people that I've talked to, I don't know what your guys' situation is, they reject gods they don't like. Like Mr. Deity in his opening statement, he was all, this God is like a failed God or, something imperfect. And maybe that's why you're rejecting these. Oh, by the way, hey, Mr. Deity, this is Dirk Jensen from your channel. Wanted to say hi. Anyway,
Hey, Dirk.
maybe you guys are just have a concept of a God that you're rejecting, and maybe all you need to do is think of a God that you could accept. Does that make sense?
What is
Oh,
a god?
I
Let's
have
start
one of
with that.
those. I have a concept of a God I would accept. I just see no evidence for it.
Well, maybe you don't need evidence for like what the
Wait,
absence of
why do you not
evidence.
need evidence?
Well, because the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. It's not proof
The
either
evidence,
way.
the absence of evidence means you don't have a reason to believe that.
It also means you don't have a reason not to believe it.
Okay, but you still don't have a reason to believe it. So,
Yeah,
and
I'm
not having
neutral
a
about it.
reason, not having a reason to believe something is a reason not to believe it.
No, that's not
Yes.
true. That's not how it works.
That's absolutely
In a
true.
court
Yes.
of law, we don't say. Well, that's
In a
not how
court
it
of
works.
law, we don't believe whatever the fuck we want to. We don't just make up shit
Right,
and
but
decide that we believe
we
that.
don't say that a person is not guilty, Aron. We say they're acquitted. And do you know why? Because we don't have proof they aren't
You
guilty.
failed to show that
We
they were
say we
guilty.
don't have
You
proof that they
failed.
are.
Right. You're unable to show that they're guilty. I get that.
Right.
But what you're trying, and the weird trying to double standard thing that you're trying to do. If we don't have a reason to believe something, we don't have a reason to believe it. And so you're saying
But that
we
is
should
all
just
is not evidence.
believe
So I'm saying that
whatever the fuck we want to, just make shit up. I'm going to believe that I have 3 foot long penises. I just want to believe that. So I'm just going to tell everybody that's what I have. And then,
But it's not
then make everybody
limited
prove
to
that I'm
just-
wrong.
It's not limited to just that, though. It's not limited to just that. You're saying the absence of evidence is enough to say it's not real, but that is incorrect.
No,
you just need to understand.
no. The not guilty thing that you just brought up. We don't have you can't prove that somebody's guilty, so you have to say that they're acquitted. In this case, you can't accuse the person of being, you can't say that you've convinced or you've proven that the thing exists. We don't have a reason to show it. So God is not guilty of existing.
But he's not guilty either. I'm saying that it's not an argument
You can't
that leads
show
anywhere.
that
That's
you
my
can't
point.
show
And you
reason to
guys
believe it.
rely on
So
that
there is no
heavily.
reason to believe it. You can't show that God is guilty of existing. Therefore, you acquit God of existing.
But that does not mean he's not existing. It just means
It doesn't
he's
have
acquitted
to.
of it. Which is,
It doesn't have to.
Well-
There's lots of things. There's lots of things that might be true that we've never even thought about yet, that nobody's even ever discussed. But we can't just say that these things are true without having any evidence to show it. You have to be able to show the truth of it before you make the claim. You have to be able to show the evidence leading to that
what
conclusion.
you're doing is
Because if
denying
you say
the
that, if you
existence of
assert,
those truths.
if you
You're
assert,
denying the
No.
existence.
if you assert baseless
Yes, you are.
speculation
No.
as if it was a matter of fact, we call that lying. I realize that religion calls it revealed truth, but everywhere else it's called lying.
I don't deny the existence of any God. I'm not there yet. I think the Christian God is ridiculous and a crime against humanity. So I'm very close on that edge of saying I just believe that the Christian God does not exist. But other concepts of God, I don't even know enough about them to say I don't believe they exist or not. I have no evidence or reason to believe that they do, nor do I have any motivation to believe that they do. Like we can't know anything about them. Obviously, we can't know anything about them. People have been making claims about gods forever, and no one, not a single person who has ever lived, has any actual demonstrable knowledge of this being. So why should we care? Did we lose Dirk? I think we lost Dirk.
Nope, he's there.
Oh,
Dirk, your phone may be asleep. Tap it to
Guys,
wake it up.
sorry. My phone went off like he told me not to let happen. That was totally my fault. Totally my fault. Guys, the original source of these claims are observation by the person. So no, they can't be expected to duplicate these claims. They can't show you like a fin of a spaceship. So it's unfair for you to ask for that.
If I tell you,
why is it unfair?
If I tell you the lottery numbers, you know that you're going to go out and win the lottery, I'll give you the numbers. You go out and you're going to win the jackpot. Do you then have to prove that it's not true, or during that period of time until the drawing is actually done? What I said, is that truth until it's proven wrong?
It is neither true nor false until it's proven wrong.
There's no way I could know. Now, is there?
But that's what we think. We don't know
So
the
I'm
backstory. Maybe you
pretending
work
to
for
know
Lotto
things.
or something.
I'm pretending to know things I don't really know. There's a word for it.
But
Faith.
that's what you're doing. You're
That's what
starting
faith
from the
is.
position that they're lying, not that they have secret knowledge. Do you see the problem with that?
Mistaken.
You're saying
They're mistaken. I'm not accusing anyone of lying. I'm simply saying they're mistaken.
Aaron
remember a
just did.
philosophy.
Aaron just
I remember a philosophy professor who did a speaking tour on the premise that faith is pretending to know things you don't know. Now, I'd said that myself already earlier a number of different ways, but that's true. Faith is pretending to know things you don't know, asserting baseless speculation as if it's a matter of fact. Pretending to know things you don't know and claiming facts that are not facts, those are both called lies. Both of them. When you say things as if it's true, and there's no way you could even know if it's true, that's lying too.
Well, I don't really think that's accurate, because what faith is the idea that the person you're getting the information from, you're asserting that you believe that what they're saying is true. When you say you have faith in something, you're admitting you don't know, but that the person you believe saying this, you believe strongly that what they're saying is true. Sort of like I have faith in doctors in certain issues, but maybe not in, mechanics or fixing my car.
You understand the
that's where you're
probabilities. You understand the probabilities based on expertise. You understand nothing's going to ever be perfect, but that you're more likely to get an accurate diagnosis from a doctor than you are from your mechanic, right? Or your hibachi
Right.
salesman. Okay, but these are just understanding of probabilities. I hate the argument, well, you have to have faith when you step on an airplane. No, I trust in probabilities. I know that air traffic is one of the safest ways to travel. That's what I understand. Faith is a belief that is not based on evidence, not based on probabilities, not based on any actual information. It's something you want to pretend, and so you make believe.
Well,
Dirk, when
it's
you go to
based
that
on the
doctor,
belief that other people. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, when you go to that doctor can show you, if you really need to know, that doctor can show you that he has had oodles and oodles and oodles of training in whatever it is that he is going to be operating for you on or diagnosing you with. He's had a ridiculous amounts of training, and he can demonstrate all of that empirically if you really need to see it. I mean, we have a trust system now where they're certified and all of that. You can't do that with anyone making a religious claim. You can't show that they have any kind of training that produces any kind of results in the supernatural realm that they can show you. So you're trusting somebody
Okay.
they're just making
What's
claims.
the
That's
first
all they're
thing you
doing.
sign when you go into a doctor's office? What's the first thing you sign?
Sign?
Well,
A
I was there
waiver.
today, and it's
A waiver. You sign a waiver. The first thing you do when you go into a doctor's
okay.
office is you sign an insurance waiver.
If you say so.
Saying what?
The doctor's not
We
making
lost you.
promises and can't show or prove anything. No, Mr. Deity is saying that the doctor can show you definitively how good he is. But the fact that they make you sign a waiver is proof that that is just, again, a matter of belief
So are you
and faith,
saying?
because
Are
they
you
make
saying
you
that
sign
you're?
a waiver saying there's a possibility. Go ahead.
Are you saying that you have a better chance of getting a proper diagnosis from your tattooist than from a doctor?
Well, I am not
Nothing is
saying
100%,
that a person is
right?
going to get
I've gone to doctors. I have gone to doctors who have given me misdiagnoses, but I still understand that they're more likely to understand this better than my tattooist.
But Dirk,
and you believe that
if you're
because you
not
have faith in the
wait, Dirk,
credentialist system.
Dirk, if you're
here's
not
the
even
problem,
going to
Dirk.
trust the guy, Dirk, if you're not even going to trust the guy who has all this training and certification, then why would you trust the guy who's just making wild speculative claims about supernatural things of which we can have absolutely no knowledge?
Dirk, here's what it
Because of
comes
the
down to.
certainty of the claim. Thank you for bringing that up. Go ahead.
Dirk, here's what it comes down to. Does the truth matter? In my perspective, it does.
What
And the truth matters.
Aaron? What is truth?
What?
What's truth? What is
The
truth?
truth is what the
That which
facts are, what we
corresponds
can
with
show to be
reality.
true.
I'm sorry, one at a time. What's truth?
The truth is what the facts are, what we can show to be true. If you can't show that it's true, you can't
But
say
we have
that it's
limited
true.
understanding, Aaron. Aaron,
What?
we have limited understanding. What a blind person
Right.
thinks
So
is
you
true
can
is different
only
than what a
say
person who can
that
see is
some
true.
things are true. There are some things that may be true, but you don't know. But if you don't know it, then you can't show it. Then you don't know it, and you shouldn't say that it's true. So you can only say the things that are true that you can show the truth of it. So if the truth matters to you,
But if I have seen it, let's say I've seen it, and now I'm telling you, there's no way for me to prove that except for the veracity of my claim. How strongly
matter.
I
You're
make
missing the
these
point.
claims.
if the
Well, then
truth
you're
matters,
God.
if
That's
okay,
what witnesses
you're
do.
completely
You're God.
shooting off.
Considering how courts determine most people's guilt or innocence is by
Dirk,
witness testimony.
Dirk, your God is so pathetic that he can only show you, that he can't show everybody. If it's
Dirk,
so important, this is the most important thing in the history of our universe, right? This thing that we need to believe. If you're a Christian,
Right,
it's you need to believe this to be
right.
saved. But
No,
he
no, no, no,
can't
no,
give
no.
us
Hold
even a
on.
single
Hold on. I'm
eyewitness
not a
to the
Christian. I'm not a
resurrection.
Christian. Hold on. I'm not a
doesn't
Okay,
Christian.
matter,
whatever,
Dirk.
whatever
I'm
it
not a
is,
Christian.
whatever it is. Then, well, first of all, then why do we even need to care about God? Give us a reason to care. Why should we care?
Because you want to escape the cycle that you are trapped in. Thank you for
I'm not
asking.
trapped
You're
in
How
a
the
do I
first
know
cycle.
that
person who's
there's a
even asked that.
cycle?
Because
How do I know that there's a cycle that I'm trapped in? Because you tell me? Because you've talked to
you're
God?
alive right now. Are you alive right now? Are you alive right now?
Yes, but that doesn't
Are
mean
you
there's a
Yeah.
alive right
cycle.
now? Okay, so if you can, in 13.5 billion years, become a living entity, what's going to happen in another 13.5 billion years?
I don't know. I'll be dead.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
So
But
Dirk,
you might come back
if
again
Dirk,
because it
well, hold
happened
on,
once.
Dirk.
So the
Dirk,
law of
Dirk,
large
Dirk, Dirk,
numbers
You
hold
and
might,
on,
you
Dirk.
might, you
probability
might,
Dirk,
you
says
might, you
Dirk,
it will
might.
happen.
Oh, you
Dirk is
might.
now
Yes, you
muted.
might.
Dirk is now muted. I'm going to unmute Dirk in a moment, but I want to make sure that he can hear what I'm trying to tell him. Dirk, ready? I'm going to unmute you, but I want you to stay quiet for a minute. I thought I hit unmute. He's still, yeah, okay. Now, Dirk, if the truth matters to you, there's a number of things here. One, you don't want to be fooled into believing anything that is not evidently true. So you want to be able to verify that there is some truth to it before you let yourself even begin to be deceived. And two, you would not say that something is true. If the truth matters to you, you would not say that something is true until you can show the truth of it to verify that it is true. Do you understand both of these things?
I understand your claim.
I didn't make a claim, so apparently you didn't understand it. But do you understand the points that I was trying to
I
make?
understand
You don't
the
want
words
to
that
you
came
don't want
out
to
of your
tell
mouth,
people
but I do not agree with them.
you do not want to fool people into believing something's not true. So you're not going to say that it's true if you don't know and can't show that it's true. And you don't want to believe something that may not be true because it might not be true. Do you understand those?
Dirk, for all I know,
cannot show that
believing what you
Pluto
want me.
is a real thing, but Pluto is a real thing. So,
I'm sorry, what? What?
Okay, I can't show that the Antarctica is a real thing right now. Discussing
I
with you,
can.
I would have to somehow get you a picture or take you there,
No,
right?
I can.
Or show you
I
that
can.
Pluto is real. I'd have to take you on the web.
I can show you Antarctica. I can't do it with
You can do
Pluto,
that
but I can
right
show
now.
you. I can verify that Antarctica is true right now. If you and I were just sitting together talking,
Okay.
I'd be able to show that Antarctica is a real thing right now. This was an important point. Are you okay with telling people things that are true when they might not be true, and even you don't know if they're true, but you're going to tell people it's true anyway, and you don't think that's a lie?
It's not
Are you okay
a
with that?
lie because if I believe it's true, then it's not a lie. Let's
And you-
go with
but
the
you
doctor
don't
thing.
know if
Doctors
it's true.
prescribe medicine,
You can
but they
believe it.
don't
You can-
promise that it's going to heal you. ever.
Shut the fuck up for a minute. If you can believe it all you
But they
want
still
to,
do it.
but you can believe it all you want to. However, it doesn't matter how stupid you are. You can believe all kinds of shit, but you can't say that. You can't honorably, you can't honestly say that something is true unless you can show the truth of it, unless you can verify the evidence leading to that conclusion to show the truth of it. If you don't, if you just say that shit is true because you want it to be true, that's called lying. Do you not understand that? We already gathered you don't understand that.
Could
And what about
Christopher
believing
Columbus
things that are not
fly
true?
to America in 15?
I'm sorry, what?
In 1492, could Christopher Columbus fly to America? Could he?
No.
That depends on who you ask. Donald Trump thought that we won the Revolutionary War by
there you
securing
go.
the airports in
The correct answer is
1776.
yes, he could. The correct answer is yes, he could. But that's ridiculous, isn't it?
What?
How is that the correct answer? Dirk, I have a question for you. You said you're not a Christian.
Technically, he could build an airplane and fly if they knew how to build an airplane. But if you asked a person in 1492 if they can fly to America, they would say, no, that's impossible.
Right.
Okay.
Very simple.
Dirk?
It's not over your guys' head.
It was impossible, but it was
You're
impossible
saying
in
what is
1492.
Yeah. So
It
Dirk,
was impossible
we're
in
done with you.
It
1492.
wasn't practical, but they could. Technically, they could. But they could.
No, they couldn't.
They're
They hadn't
saying something
discovered.
that's not true. They
No,
could build
Dirk.
a
no, they
plane and
hadn't
fly to
discovered.
America.
They hadn't discovered. They hadn't discovered the principles of aeronautics yet, so they couldn't.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean
Dirk,
the principles of aeronautics wouldn't work. It doesn't. It's not like
They
some
would.
nobody
Yes,
knew how
they
to work
would.
it.
They
But they
would.
didn't know how to do it
And
internal
nobody-
combustion engines, and they didn't have a means of propulsion. So, Dirk, nobody believes you anymore. You're obviously just trolling. So, shut the fuck up, and we're going to move on to the next caller.
No. Aron, this is how you argued with Cliff.
Goodbye, Dirk. Now we have
I really wanted to know how. I really wanted to know how Dirk. He said he wasn't a Christian, so on what basis did he reject
Yeah, I'm
Christianity?
sorry, but the shit,
That's all right.
stupid shit he said about the
Yeah, that was
correct
pretty bad at
answer
the end.
is yes,
Yes.
Columbus could fly. No,
Could fly, yeah.
yeah, he's obviously trolling. He's obviously being disingenuous. That's the shitty thing about these. Whenever we get a theist on the phone, they're never honest and sincere. That never happens. We're going to prove that again,
And
because this time. Oh, you know what? I'm going to, before I get to the next caller, there's something else I have to say.
yeah,
I forgot. We have, let me see, today is tomorrow, and most of these times are 6 p.m. Central Time. We have Chewed Gum with Elisa Lube and Eve Was Framed. Then on Wednesday, we have The Hang Up. That's at 6 p.m. with Matt Dillahunty and Dara Magic Skeptic and Arden. And then we have on Thursday. Is that Thursday? Yes. On Thursday, we have the Transatlantic Call-In Show, and that's at 2 p.m. Central Time with Arden and Luxander. And then next week, we have the Sunday Show, 2 p.m. with Matt Dillahunty. SkepTalk on Monday with Forrest Valkai. That ridiculously cute, sexy, young Forrest Valkai. I don't know what the fuck people see in him. Young and good looking and all smart and all that. Anyway, and Rob
he's
Palmer.
awful. He's horrible.
I know. Why don't people give more time to creepy old bastards like myself?
Yeah.
And next Tuesday, we have Chewed Gum at 6 p.m. with Elisa Lube and Eve Was Framed. And then Wednesday, The Hang Up at 6 p.m. Central with Matt Dillahunty. Okay. Now, I've done that little bit. Brian, are you ready for the next call?
I am, yes.
All right. So we do have a theist waiting, and this is Sura. And Sura is from India, and she wants to talk about, he wants to talk about a problem with evidence. Sura, you're on the line.
Is my voice audible?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yep.
No.
What is your problem with evidence?
That evidence seems to be very costly and dangerous thing. because
Brian, were
when
you able to make that out?
God
I couldn't make that out. No, sorry. And I've had 3
evidence
Indian
seems to
girlfriends.
be very costly and dangerous thing. Can you hear my voice?
I can hear
Yeah,
your
we can hear
voice,
your voice, but the
but I
accent's
wasn't
a
able to
little
understand
tough.
Evidence,
much of what you said there.
Yeah,
evidence.
we had this problem the last time Sura called. Sura, we can't take the call with this sort of audio issues, so we're just going to have to let you go. All right?
Yeah, I
Sorry about
don't
that.
even know how to explain the audio, but it's nigh unintelligible. I apologize, Sura.
Yeah.
Okay, which means the next caller is an atheist. And now we are talking with Seth from Minnesota. And he says, how do I deal with family arguing
Minnesota.
against evolution and being a transphobe? Seth, you want to explain your
Yeah.
Hi,
position, please?
Aaron.
Aron, please.
Sorry, I meant to say Aron. I am a huge fan of yours. I've been wanting to talk to you for some time.
Well, thank you very much. What is the issue with the family?
Yeah,
And believe me, before we even get there, I feel you, because I can't reach any of my family either.
yeah, unfortunately, I am like as I've understood and listened to a lot of your videos, I feel like like you that I am the lone wolf, essentially, in a herd of sheep in my family. That I'm the only atheist among all of them.
Yeah,
And
I get that.
Well,
eh,
you don't want to be a sheep.
But he said
yeah.
he's a lone wolf among sheep.
Yeah, no, I said you don't want to be. You don't want to be a sheep. Trust me.
Yeah, exactly. And mainly I've been recently dealing with my brother, and who I only have one sibling,
Yeah.
which is a little unusual, but I know. But my mom actually had complications when she gave birth to both of us. When she she would have this, like, her blood pressure would skyrocket after her birth, after she would give birth. And after she had me, the doctor actually said, you could have another kid, but you probably won't survive.
What a coincidence. My mother's blood pressure would go up after her birth with me every time we spoke for more than 10 minutes.
Oh, that's great. That's great. I like that.
My mother's
But,
did the same
yeah.
whenever she talked to my dad.
What's that?
I said my mother's did the same just talking to my dad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
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 Speaking of dad, my dad is, I would say, not quite like Donald Trump, but he's a malignant narcissist.
Okay.
He's
So
not
all of
as
the ass
bad as
foolery and none of the money?
he is bad. He's about as bad. He's almost as bad as Donald Trump, but at least he's not affecting anyone besides maybe the people around him.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he has dementia on top of that. So he was already a jerk before this, but now he's got dementia on top of it. So imagine that.
So he really is. He really is just like Trump.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember somewhere around
Sorry, is it actually
1990.
verified? Is it actually verified that by a doctor that
Just-
Trump has dementia?
Just watch him. Just listen to him. He's
There have been a number of psychiatrists who've said that even though there is an ethical concern with diagnosing somebody that they've never actually met, or that they've analyzed in person, there have been a cadre of different psychologists who have said that Donald Trump exhibits symptoms of not just narcissism, not just malignant narcissism, but of dementia, and a body of them have issued warnings. Back in 2016, warning that we should not elect this man. And
Yeah, I
in
knew.
2024, they're all saying, "What the fuck? Just nobody care? What doctors say anymore?" Because it looks like everybody will take medical advice from their tattooist before they get it from a trained professional.
That's
I
where I get it
really
from.
like that line that you threw at Dirk. That was great. So yeah, he just recently I was in a Facebook post talk and some a friend of mine on Facebook basically issued me happy birthday but said God bless, and I basically used the line that you Aron often say is, please, I prefer you don't say that because that's essentially saying have a magically enchanted day.
Yeah.
And then sometime later, my brother got into it with me and I don't exactly know how it progressed to the discussion of, I don't remember how it progressed to the discussion of evolution, but it at one point did, and he started to give his arguments basically saying a lot of the same things you've probably heard of, evolution isn't real. He even basically denied abiogenesis being a thing. He said that. And I think using a lot of the stuff that I've learned from you and other atheists on YouTube, Seth Andrews is another one of my favorites, that I used a lot of those arguments to basically say, yeah, no, you're completely wrong. You have no idea what you're talking about. If you actually bothered to look up the information on the internet, which is a wealth of information, you could probably find it. Personally, myself, I have all other interests that I enjoy, but I have enough to know the basics of it. I'm willing to know. I know enough to understand the basics of how evolution works, and probably know now, after a lot of listening to you specifically, how evolution works and what evolution is more than he does.
Here's the problem. When unbelievers often become unbelievers because we want to understand the way things really are. Believers become believers very often because they don't care how about things really are. They want to pretend a thing that makes them happy. So the problem that you have with trying to convince your brother is that he's not going to be relying on logic, on arguments that are based on logic. I am. Okay, so if you can show me that the position that I held is not supported by evidence or logic, you don't have to disprove it. If it's not adequately supported, I've already rejected it on my own. But with a believer, they're looking for any excuse to continue believing whatever it is that they wanted to believe in the first place. They're trying to believe. They're trying to convince themselves against all the odds. It's mind over matter. The power of positive thought. If they don't want you to harsh their buzz, they're going to do anything they can to convince themselves of the thing that they want to be true. And it doesn't matter what evidence is. It doesn't matter what truth is. They will lie deliberately, knowingly, and never admit to themselves that they're lying. Dirk was a great example of that. Although I think Dirk knew that he was full of shit. I think Dirk knew that he was a troll.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've actually been, this is actually my second run being an atheist. I've actually tried to be a Christian twice now. The second time was being me. I had a moment of weakness, you could say. I started getting weird chills all over my body, and I didn't know what was going on, and it scared the heck out of me to the point that I actually broke down and just prayed. And that was actually the first time I became a Christian. I didn't feel that sense of euphoria that you're supposed to get. The second time I did. So I actually got the feeling that you're supposed to get. That was the interesting part, that I never felt it the first time. And the second time I did. But once again, it kind of came down to this, both times, realizing that I couldn't commit all the way. I was never fully invested in believing. I would try to convince myself that I believed in it, but I never. But looking back, both times, I never fully did. And I can tell you definitely the second time that I just struggled. Initially, I felt really good and I felt confident about it, but then the wheels started to fall off. And I just couldn't. There was several things that I just couldn't reconcile with. One of the big things after being an atheist before was my churches, the ones that I took, they're wonderful people, wonderful, nice people, and I miss them terribly. I miss having that constant relationship with them and being around them. But I couldn't. The one thing that was a stickler for me was their stance on abortion. I could not agree with them, no matter what they said. Everything I had learned just stood against everything they said on that topic.
That's interesting.
Christianity appeals to me in many ways, but mostly for the blood and the genocide and the misogyny. That's what appeals to me. I like all of it, and I would love to, say I believe it, but just can't do it. Ann Hercioline is now saying that when asked about the resurrection, she says, "I choose to believe that Jesus rose from the dead," which is exactly what you were saying, Aron. That they want. It's an effort. They make an effort. I choose. I don't have to choose to be an atheist. I'm simply compelled to withhold my judgment on the question of God until there's some kind of evidence. I just don't find it compelling. There's no choosing. It's just, well, I don't see it. Okay, what do you want me to do with that? And by the way, this is a problem for believers, because what am I supposed to do? You've got God up there who's telling me, unless I believe this, I'm gonna suffer for a really, really long time, maybe even a little longer. And I just can't believe it. So if I say I believe it, then I'm lying, and God doesn't like liars. That's one of the evils that we
Are
can't
you
do. So
sure? Are you sure God doesn't like liars? He seems to
his
reward
people
the
do. His people
evangelical
do.
faith healers
Yeah.
handsomely.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, his people love them.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Brian. I
So what
didn't
was
mean I
appealing
shouldn't
to
have
you?
cut
What
in.
was appealing to you? Was it the blood, Seth? Just like me, or the genocide? What was appealing to you about the Christianity?
For me, there were a couple different things. The first time I became an atheist, it was a combination of me realizing, like I said before, that I looked back at my life and said, did I ever really truly believe this? Was I ever really fully committed to it? And I said no,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like, if I'm not going to, my stance at the time was, if I can't commit to this all the way, what's the point?
Right.
That was
Well, that's
kind of
good
my
thinking.
feeling at the time, and also, and I think the other thing was looking at my dad, who, as I've told you, was a malignant narcissist, and then basically seeing, like, as a lot of people have said, as you've noted, that a lot of people say one of the big things that pushes them away from the faith is the hypocrisy of the church. Well, mine was the hypocrisy of one specific person, that being my dad, and seeing the way he lived, the way he acted, and the way he kind of lived his life to an extent, and basically saying, I don't want to be that guy, because he
Right.
stands against everything I've been taught Christianity is supposed to be,
Mm.
or at least to
Yeah.
a significant extent. Not everything, I guess, but to a significant extent. He has, yeah. When I say he's a malignant narcissist, he has no empathy at all.
Right.
I get that.
Do you have now more of a good philosophical grounding though for what you believe and what you don't?
That's a good question. I think so. I
Okay.
haven't really actually studied that much philosophy, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to bow out for just a second, Brian. You continue.
All right. Yeah, I think there's three kinds of believers and non-believers. There's the habitual, so you grew up in it and it's just all you know. There's the emotional, which sounds a little bit like what you were saying there with regard to your dad, like something emotionally just triggers you and you leave it. Ayan Hersey Ali, who's just converted to Christianity, clearly it's all about emotional well-being. She was in a bad place, despair, desperation, alcoholism, and needed something, and that did it for her. And then there's the philosophical believers and non-believers, people who kind of really have studied the issues and have a firm grounding on what the big questions are and how you would answer them. And I think that's probably the best kind of believer or non-believer to be. You should really kind of get a grasp on what you believe and exactly why you believe it.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess the best way to describe my belief both times, the first time I would say when I think about it, based on what you just said, the first time was more out of habit. My mom kind of pushed it. I felt my mom pushed me into it when I was very young, and I love my mom and still do, even though she's passed many years ago. But the one thing that bothers me is the way she presented Christianity, because she kind of said, something to the effect of, I'm not sure exactly the word, if it was worded this way, but essentially, you don't want to go to hell, do you?
Right.
I think that's the one, as I've heard from other atheists, that's one of the most bothersome things about Christianity is the very idea that you can't just have the reward of heaven. There has to be the complete opposite. Hell, the worst possible existence ever.
No. Worse than possible. Worse than possible. Hell is so ridiculously over the top. There's no way it could be real. No God would have allowed that. Just a merciless torture, a complete vindictiveness, unrelenting vindictiveness for all eternity over what you did or didn't believe.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. And I think I've actually, like the whole description that Christians give out now, obviously, of hell, like fire and brimstone and constant torture. I don't necessarily think the Bible actually talks about hell that way. If it does,
no, it doesn't.
It does. Jesus did. Jesus did. Well, Jesus said,
Jesus
"You
talked
go, depart from me into hellfire, where the fire never ceases and the worm never dies." I mean, he was a fan.
I think I'm remembering that now. That's the other thing. Like whenever a lot of the sermons when I as I grew up listening to, I'd forgotten practically all of them. I could never. It never stopped.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah,
I love that.
I wish that I could help you with your brother and other family members on evolution, but the problem is they won't even admit what evolution is. You can go to Berkeley University's introductory primer on Evolution 101. You can show them what evolution is, and they will argue against the academic institutions teaching it they'll say, no, that's not what evolution really is. Evolution really is, and then they'll give you some straw man that they can't back up. So there's no institution that's teaching the fake evolution that they're preaching, but they're going to hold that that's what it's really being taught, is the stupid lie that they're telling. So where do you go with that? And the whole ultimate issue is they don't care what the truth is, period. So what good is logic?
Right?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. Yeah, I bet that part of the conversation did not come up, but I would not be surprised at all if I actually asked him what he thinks evolution was, that he would give the wrong answer.
Yeah, I would love to have a conversation with somebody like that on my channel. A real person, not a professional paid apologist, but a real person, like what you're talking about, your brother. I'd love to set that up. Have a free conversation, limited by time, so that, you know, let's be realistic. You know, if they can make 30 minutes with me, you know, then they're done, and they don't have to be held to it beyond that. Something like that. But where I can show them in the process of that discussion what evolution really is, and see how many times they have to lie knowingly to defend their faith just in that 30 minutes.
Oh man, that would be, if I could actually get my brother to agree to that, I probably wouldn't. But if I could get you to
be aware, let your brother know.
Conversation, that I would love to.
Let your brother know. Let your brother know that we already know why he won't agree to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I'm going to have to let you go. I've got 2 theists lined up, and we are supposed to prioritize theists here.
Oh,
Seth, do you mind dropping off?
Real quick, I wanted to mention I am on the autism spectrum, and I think it's a very important issue that when it comes to religion, how easily people of neurodivergence can be pushed into it.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I actually, my pastor, the pastor of the church that I was going to, he actually calls it his ward. I think the guy is, I think, maybe in his 30s. He's from his appearance, he looks fairly up in age, but he has the mental capacity of like a 3-year-old, and he's a believer, of course.
Yeah.
Mormons refer to their congregations as wards too.
Sadly, I know a bunch of people who are very senior in age and who have kind of always had the mental aptitude of children.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean people who have been recognized as having, a particular diagnosable condition. They just went about life because of their circumstances without being thought of as that way. But once you begin to speak to them on anything of depth, you kind of see it.
Yeah, I think, do you know of any organizations that actually try to help people of neurodivergence, that can help people with that when it comes to religious, stuff?
I don't have a way to make a reference. No, I don't. I'm not aware of anything like that. Anyway, I'm going to have to let you go because we've got these other 2 people waiting, and they are both theists. So
thank you so much for listening to me.
Yeah, do invite your brother to talk to me, and we can set up a channel to do that. I would love to have a 30-minute conversation with him on what evolution is, and he will refuse.
Yeah, if I could get
because
him to do it,
he does not.
I will try.
He will refuse because he does not want to know what evolution is.
Very good chance he will. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. So we are going to move over to a theist here. So let me jump into the next one in line. And we are speaking with Kyle, who says that God is a higher power than ours. So in a way, the universe is a god. Kyle, you're on
How
the
you
line.
doing? Nice to meet you, Aaron.
It's all right. It's all right. Kyle, you want to explain your position?
Hello. Yes. So, I was raised in a very religious family. My grandparents are Jehovah's Witnesses. Once I got to teenage age, I kind of poked holes in that religion, so to speak. And they teach you to poke holes in every other religion. And so I felt as though I had nowhere to go. So I kind of started over the years coming up with my own ideals on religion. And as of recently, and actually thanks to your show, I kind of started getting into Christianity and seeing where my views don't align with the God of the Bible. But I believe that definition of a God is a higher power than ours. And the universe in a very large scale creates and destroys on a consistent basis. And you can see that at the very basis of how the particles in the universe are believed to go through a ever-changing state. And I think that the universe is constantly having particles go through an ever-changing state to seek to create and destroy, and that we are proof of the extent that it can go through to create life, and that there may as well be life out there in the universe. And we've even proven that, we found mRNA on asteroids and DNA out in the universe.
Wait. We found mitochondrial DNA on asteroids?
Yes.
No.
I may be misspeaking there, but I came across an article about it recently, and as well as I saw I think it was Patrick was talking to someone on the show about where they asked him a question about it, and from there I researched it more on my own.
Yeah, I don't want to make proclamations or anything, but if we had found DNA of any type, or more specifically mitochondrial DNA on asteroids, I would think that in the circles that I normally, wander through, I would probably know that. That would be like
I think that would.
earth-shattering news.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that would probably be the story of the century.
Yeah.
Should I say they found the building block of life?
Well, no, they found amino acids
in the universe.
Yeah,
they have found amino acids in the Murchison chondrite and a number of others. So they found, interesting thing about the Murchison chondrite was they didn't just find amino acids; they found more amino acids than normally than exist in life, and they found a number of other complex biochemicals that were. Excuse me. They found another complex chemical constructs that they could not even identify. So beyond what we have on this planet, and that was on a meteorite. So that is kind of, that's impressive. But that struck Australia in like 1969.
Mm-hmm.
But no, not DNA, nor RNA either. Even if they'd found RNA, that would be super profound.
crazy profound. Yeah, Kyle, what does it matter in all of this? If I'm not sure I understand what is the practical value of this, and how does it impact your life?
For me, it kind of makes me feel like I'm part of something bigger than myself. At the end of the day, the Earth is a macroorganism, and in Christianity, I thought I had found what was the presence of God, and I'm struggling even as someone who's not a Christian, who doesn't believe in the God of the Bible, as of what to do with that. And I just feel like there is some type of awareness or something that makes me feel connected to the world around me.
I got to jump in. I got to jump in for this for just a second. I mean, I feel because of taxonomy, because of my understanding of phylogenetics, where we fit in the phylogenetic tree, it has been said a number of times in the last century or so that the more you try to pick out anything by itself, the more you find it connected to everything else in the universe. I feel connected to everything else in the phylogenetic tree. I know where I am in the tree of all things, and I don't need to make up gods and stuff to feel that sense of belonging. And the problem I have with religion is Christianity in particular, in that they say that you are not of this world. You're supposed to be a supernatural, imaginary other kind of a thing. And I am a part of nature. I'm an inextricable part of nature. I am inextricably, uneschewably attached to everything else.
Yes.
I can't say that I'm apart from it. Brian, this is the first time you have brought on one of your dogs that you have praised so highly so many times.
This is the only one I have left. This is Cookie. She's 16 and she's blind and deaf, but she's a good girl and she's wandering around. And I thought if I don't pick her up, she's gonna pee. And I don't want to be cleaning up the pee. So I'm just gonna hold on to her for a few minutes. She loves being held like a baby, as we say. That's a good daddy. Hold you like a baby, huh? Yeah. Yeah. She's a good dog though. She was super brilliant when she was younger.
Brian and I have spoken privately a bunch of times, and I know he loves his dogs.
I do indeed.
Yeah.
Kind of a nut. Yeah.
But this is the first time I've seen one.
Look at that face. Look at that face. You got so much goop in this one eye. I keep cleaning it out every day. And
so, Kyle, I didn't mean to distract from you entirely.
Sorry. Sorry, Kyle.
Not at all.
Please pick it up from
there.
Give
me a second to gather my thoughts.
Yes.
Something that I'm really struggling with is coming out of any belief of a God. I find it difficult to wrap my mind around there not having been some kind of consciousness or awareness that inspired the universe.
Why is that necessary?
I don't know. I think it's maybe because I want to see mankind in the universe. I mean,
would you be okay with a simulation?
Stardust.
Would you be okay with a simulation?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't believe that there's an afterlife beyond leaving a legacy. In fact, I actually want either a sky burial or to be buried under a plant. Like there's companies where you can have your body put into a biodegradable sack, and
you're talking about composting now,
or a plant.
You're talking about composting, right?
Yes.
That's what I want to do too, but unfortunately, it's illegal in Texas. I have to die in a different state if I want to have this done.
Come to California.
I want to be able to. When I die, instead of being filled full of formaldehyde, so that I can't nourish the earth, so that my body can't nourish the earth. You can't use my body to provide nutrients to any other thing. My body legally has to be turned into poison, which I'm completely against. Or you can burn it so that it's wasted, right? So all the energy is gone. The biosphere doesn't get to use it. I want to be composted. I want to be able to control my reincarnation to literally become a tree. That seems so much more beautiful.
And then your family can come back and say, "Hey, this is Dad's tree. This is so and so's tree." And
this is kind of in a way. This is literally Dad.
Yeah.
Yes.
My body's already poisoned, so I'm halfway there.
Yeah. I'm not done yet, but I am working on it.
Well, with all the chemo I take, I'm mostly poisoned at this point.
All right, so I've got a couple
Anything
of other
else,
people
Kyle?
lined up.
May
Kyle?
I ask a question of you, Aaron Raw, if
Yes.
you don't mind?
Sure.
Why the name Aaron Raw? I got into esotericism for a while. I'm a bit of an Egyptophile. So I'm just curious why the name Aaron Raw.
All right, well, first of all, it's
Aron.
Aron. Thank
Yeah.
you. So when I started a channel on Usenet or an account name or whatever, I was told that I needed to have, when you sign up for Usenet, which is like a long time ago because Usenet doesn't even exist anymore, I was told
That's
that I had to
old.
have some kind of a username. Yeah. And so my
Yeah.
name was already Aron. And the research that I had done showed me something interesting, that Yahweh and Amen-Ra, the composite air and sun god of Egyptian mythology, they both had
Yes.
the same wife. Now, Yahweh
Right.
is Jehovah, Jesus's dad, God.
Slash self. Yeah.
But they both had the same wife, which was Asherah or Atheret, depending on the language that you come from. But
Right.
I thought that was terribly fascinating. And so I saw Amen-Ra, the Egyptian air and sun god, as being a template for the god of Western monotheism. As my name was already Aron, I didn't think a whole lot, really. It was a choice made in seconds. I decided to call myself Aron-Ra. And I had no idea that I would become well known by that name. Honestly, if I'd had any thought that there would be a career or a life choice involved in this handle on Usenet, I would probably may have come up with something else. But as it happened, I ended up having to legally change my name because nobody knew that other person that was named by people, somebody who just wanted to name me after my dad. And so this was my name. And so here I am, Aron-Ra.
Well,
That's
I'm glad
awesome.
that's the name that you chose because it led me to your show, which led me to watch the line.
Thank you very
Cool.
much. All right, I'm going to
Mr.
let you
Deity
go
has a
so I can
similar
talk to a couple
story.
more theists here.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Deity
Kyle?
has a similar
All right.
story.
Well, you have a good night.
I wanted to call him Mr. God, and Mr. God was already taken as a website. So I went with Mr. Deity, which I think is so
Okay.
much better. Yeah.
Which I think would be funny if you haven't been on the line before. You said you might have been on with Jimmy once upon a time, because you know what Jimmy's original username was?
No.
Mr. Atheist.
This is actually my
Mr.
first time
that's right.
calling,
Atheist
but
with
no, I don't know.
Mr.
What was
Deity?
Yeah, Mr. Atheist with Mr. Deity.
Okay.
Yeah. That's fun.
All right. Kyle,
That's an interesting name.
good
I like
talking
it.
to you. We'll
You as
talk
well.
again soon. Good night.
All right.
Okay, now, this one, as soon as I saw this one come up, I got excited about it. So I want to talk to Tom, who identifies as a theist from Maryland, who says that evidence and what we choose to accept as evidence. And I'm excited about this because I don't get to make a choice of what we accept as evidence. We have the definition, and that's what I'm stuck with. Tom, you're on the line.
Hey, Tom.
Tom, did you step away from the microphone?
Tom, you need to tap your phone to wake it up.
Damn it!
That sounded like a good one.
I'll put them in back.
Gosh, darn
Yeah,
it.
I was so excited. As soon as I saw that on the queue, I'm like, oh, I want to talk to that guy. I was all excited about it. Damn it. Okay. All right. So now we can't. If Brian, you mind talking to another atheist?
No.
All right. Okay. So we're going to be talking to Hank from California. I don't know if you can relate to people from California there, Bri. Who says?
I can. Where are you from in
sends
California?
Orange County.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm just at the border. I'm at the border of Orange County in LA County.
My first
Oh.
girlfriend in the world was in California.
There we
Oh,
go.
right on. I feel like we're connected already.
Yes.
I grew up in SoCal, dude.
Oh, right on, dude.
You do that.
So I was just wondering. So I was reading over like the Gospels, like when it came to like the crucifixion, and then I realized that like Mark, Luke, and Matthew wrote about it, but only John was there. So shouldn't the other three be known as the hearsay of Mark, Luke, and Matthew? Because wouldn't that reduce the veracity of like the of their testimony because they weren't there?
Well, they're all hearsay because none of them, scholars don't believe any of them are written by the names that are attached. Those names were attached later based on tradition. It's Mark is generally considered the first gospel, and then you have Matthew and Luke who copy almost everything in Mark, which would be a strange thing if Matthew was really there. Mark and Luke aren't even claimed to be witnesses, firsthand witnesses by Christians. They're people who came along later and told the stories of whomever, Paul or Peter. So it would be strange
Right.
for Matthew to copy Mark when Mark wasn't even an eyewitness and Matthew supposedly was. The Gospels have so many problems in that regard. They're written by Greek speaking people, so Jesus and the disciples spoke Aramaic. They're written 30 to 60 years later, with a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
for legendary development and all of that kind of stuff. To think of them as any kind of first-hand witness account is just kind of ridiculous.
I think it's just kind of like when I'm reading it, it just sounds ridiculous. Where it's like, oh, but then Jesus says this, and like, how would you know that? And like, for all we know, like Jesus could have said, "Ow, my hands hurt." But
Right.
you would think that people with like of the most like allegedly the most important event in human history, they would get their facts right, because I forgot which gospel they were like, and then the two thieves were being dicks to him, and then John was like, no, one of them was like being like, hey, forgive me, be friends with me, bro.
Yeah, there's a lot of discrepancies. Even if you just compare the resurrection, not just the resurrection, but the crucifixion stories, they're all over the place, one from one to the other. And you can Christians try to harmonize it all and make it fit and make it work, but it never really comes out very well. And my favorite thing is that in the Gospel of Mark, you don't even have a post-resurrection appearance. A lot of Bibles have from verses, what is it, 10 or 9 to 16 or 18, something like that. It was added later. We don't have, all our earliest copies don't have anything like that. So the original crucifixion account ends with the ladies running from the tomb terrified, and they tell no one. That's the original ending of the original story. And this is what we're all supposed to live our lives based on. I mean, it's just absurd.
I got to
So
read the Gospels again because every time I do, I happen across something that I don't, and this is really true of any part of the Bible. Anytime I read through it again, I hit stuff that I don't remember at all. But there's one
Right.
thing that I do remember that a lot of other people don't. And I'm wondering if you've read through the Bible a bunch of times, maybe you'll remember this. That after Jesus died, his followers are so desperate to see him that they identify a random stranger in some crowd as Jesus and just decide that guy is Jesus, even though it doesn't look like Jesus. Do you remember this, Brian?
I don't. I know there's the visit with whomever it was on the road to Emmaus or something like that, where they're talking with him, chatting with him, blah 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 blah, and then right at the end they realize, oh, that's Jesus, and then he disappears. It's like,
All right. I'm
oh
going to have to
wait,
read
but
through these
then
again.
on
Go
the
ahead.
other
I'm
end, you
sorry.
have him, you have him sticking around for 40 days and telling them all kinds of amazing things, which we don't get to hear, I guess. Who knows what he said? Maybe he said, hey, knock it off with the slavery thing. Or you know what? Genocide is probably a bad idea. Let's not do that anymore either. For all we know, he said all kinds of great things, but someone didn't write it down. I mean, it's the most absurd story. You're exactly right. God has 13.8 billion years to figure this out. He puts himself down in the form of Jesus into this illiterate group of people, and then leaves us without a single eyewitness to his life, death, and resurrection, who actually wrote anything in their own hand, like saying, "I, Peter, saw the risen Jesus." Blah blah blah. There's nothing there, and then all of our eternal salvation depends on us believing stories written 30 to 60 years later by people who weren't there. I mean, it's the most absurd, stupid thing you could possibly imagine from an all knowing, all loving God.
I have a lot of beef. I work as a therapist, and a
Hmm.
lot of like the religious trauma. Let's just take away like the really bad Catholic stuff. Even just like the basic message of your daddy loves you, but you'll never be a good enough child, so you're gonna go to hell. But because he likes you so much, he's gonna take the fall for you. But you're still gonna go to hell unless you like devote everything to him. So like I think that
Right.
it just causes such a dissonance of being like, I'm loved, but I'm still never gonna be good enough. And I think that
Yeah,
Right.
you're
that raises
loved.
such.
You're loved, but as you say, you're not good enough. You have all these, this unconditional love certainly has an awful lot of conditions,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
So so working through like a lot of those religious traumas has been like kind of my like the bane of my existence of
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
the
can understand it
person that
because,
should go ahead, please.
oh, I was just
No.
going to say that the conflation of love and violence that you see all throughout Christianity and all throughout the Hebrew Bible and in the Old Testament is probably, I think, the most dangerous aspect of the Christian tradition is that conflation of love and violence. It just never ends. Literally it never ends if we're talking about hell. Um, yeah, it's a horrible.
I would
I think it's just the worst idea ever.
I would
Well, it's a good
respect.
idea for people who, when you realize when you're selling religion and you sell the promise of heaven, and people start thinking about, well, why would we all want to live in mansions? Why would we need shelter if we're in? What are we going to be sheltered from? And the streets are made of gold. Do you know what it's like to get traction on gold? Why would
Yeah,
no? So it's people, you don't want people thinking about heaven because heaven makes no damn sense.
yeah.
Even a blowjob can go on for too long. You know what I'm saying? So they had to come up with
That was
hell
good.
because it doesn't matter how long you think about hell, it still sucks. So
Right, right. Just like
There's
the
only
blowjob
one
that
God
goes
I
on to him.
follow. There's only one God I follow, and that's the God Emperor of
Thank you.
Mankind from 40K.
Oh,
That's that's the
I thought
only
you were going
God
to
I
say
follow.
Mr. Deity. Oh well.
I mean, you could be the God Emperor of Mankind, and you're gonna lead some space
I
marines
could.
into the galaxy. If
Yeah, I
that's the
could.
case,
I definitely could.
I will be your first follower.
Nice. Sweet.
Sweet, awesome. I really appreciate you guys talking to me about this.
Thank you
Sure.
kindly.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Well,
All
have a
right.
great day,
So,
guys.
thank you. Good night.
Night.
Was that our last caller.
Yes,
No,
it
no,
is.
but you're really missing me. You're making me miss my snakes who've long gone by now. But
Really,
I see that
tell me
snake.
what snakes did you have?
I had an albino corn and um, a, what's the little boa? Why can't I think of the small boa? You know, it only
The
got to
sand boa,
about.
the California boa, was it indigenous?
No, oh shoot! Why can't I think of it? Her name was Phoebe. That's all you needed to know. And she would wrap around my arm. She would wrap around my arm while I worked and just stay there for hours. She just loved to be wrapped around your arm and hang out with you. And I would just bring her up, give her kisses every now and then, and she just loved to be with me. Um, oh shoot! I can't believe that I can't remember the kind of. Well,
Sand
anyway,
boa?
no. She only got to about 4 foot, 4 foot long, but she was the sweetest thing. She was just the sweetest
What
thing.
was she, an
I adored her.
American boa?
No, I can't think of the name. I'm not going to get it because my brain is fried with all the chemo
Okay.
and stuff. So
I've
I
got a
can't.
bunch of boas like right here in the room with me, but I don't know why, but I'm thinking
Oh, no, 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 no,
instinctively
no.
that
I'm
you.
sorry. It was a ball python. It was a ball python. God, not a
It's not
boa, a
even a
ball
boa.
python. Not even a boa. Sorry. This is my brain. This is my brain. This is your brain on chemo, kids. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you don't have to take the chemo, just don't do it.
Okay, okay. Uh, we lost one caller that had a topic that I was just all about for how you decide what evidence is,
Tom?
and I'm sorry that
Yeah,
that
Tom.
person disappeared. That that I tell you would have been my favorite topic of the evening.
I know. I know.
Yeah,
I was looking forward to it too.
and when I look at Call Studio, it looks like we don't, so far as I can tell, we don't have any calls coming. We've reached that time, so we're coming to the end of the show. Brian, I love having you on, and I'm afraid always that I talk too much. I hope I gave you enough time.
Yes, yes, more than enough. More than enough.
Okay, well,
Five
thank you
dollars
for
from
that.
Zurith Moonpa. Zurith, you're amazing. You want me to read this? Do you guys have any guilty
You do the first
pleasure
one. I'll do the next
videos?
one after that.
Yeah, do you guys have any guilty pleasure videos? I watch ghost videos a lot. I used to believe, now I just enjoy them. I have I end up watching a lot of animal rescue kind of
You
stuff.
too?
I freaking love them. I love those
I
videos.
love.
Yeah.
I watch so many. And, my house is full. I
I
have
know.
right now. I have
You
six
are an
dogs in my
animal.
house.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
six dogs in my house. They're all rescues.
You
As a matter
are
of
an
fact,
animal rescuer. Yes.
all the cats that I have in my house are all rescues as well.
I could just put a camera in your house and just watch those all day.
All right, and
Uh,
so $5 from zero. No, wait, no, that's the one you just read. I got to wait for the next
yes,
one.
that's the ones I
Okay,
use.
$5 from Bryce Barnett. Aron, you said there's no possibility of God because we can't confirm it's possible. Are you saying no possibility doesn't mean impossible? Is this equivocation? No. In order to say whether a possibility exists, you have to have a precedent or a parallel or a verified phenomenon to indicate that. Okay? And if we don't have that, then our list of possibilities rises from 0 to still nothing. You have to be able to show that there's a possibility. If you don't, you can't just say anything is possible, because that means that it's possible that monkeys might fly out of my ass.
Painful. Very
Yeah.
painful.
Yeah, there's medication for that.
$4.99 from XJW. I have some in my medicine cabinet. XJW/JC at Aron. Great to catch you live. Too bad it wasn't Dirk Gently. He could holistically detect the gods. I like Dirk Diggler. Dirk Diggler is my favorite Dirk. From
Okay.
Oh, what's the P.T. Anderson film? I can't think of that either now. My brain is just useless. Boogie Nights. Dirk Diggler.
I'm so glad that I was able to get you on with me, Brian.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you
fun.
so much for being on this show. $4.99 from Marduk1. Damn, Dirk, relax.
I don't think that's possible. I'm not. Speaking of what's possible and what's not possible, I just don't see that as a possibility. Any more? Next.
Are we done? $5.
Five from
This
Monkey
is
at
for you. I'm sorry.
Monkey at Type. Yes, $5 from Monkey at Typewriter. Don't worry, Seth. Most people don't make very good Christians, except Jesus. That dude really nailed it. Yes.
They say lived by the sword, died by the sword. Well, he was a carpenter and he was nailed to a
And
piece of wood.
yes, that's true. Oh, Johannes.
All right.
There we go. Take it.
$5 from Johannes
Take it, Aaron.
Brahms. Aron, there are tree burial pods. You can pick your preferred species of tree to feed. Also, the Forest Conservation Burial Ground in Oregon is cool. Thank you so much for that. It's literally not, I have to check this. I've been told, I haven't verified this, but I have been told that composting is illegal in Texas because they don't like anything that's good for the environment.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, this one's mine. 5 from Sthomp 10. I guess that's how you pronounce it. You don't pronounce it Stomp 10, do you? Okay,
I would say
so either way. Stomp 10. I like that. Best advice against creationists who deny carbon dating. Just left a debate where they dishonestly bombarded me with BS pseudoscience. That's redundant, by the way. BS pseudoscience. I love that. Aron, what's your you give your best advice for carbon dating?
Carbon dating is good in archaeology, not so much in paleontology, because most things in paleontology are well beyond the range of what carbon dating can do. Carbon dating
That's
is
what I was
limited to
gonna
like 50,000 years, and we're talking about, tens or hundreds of millions of years in paleontology.
Right. That was my answer exactly. That's what I was thinking.
$5 from Monkey at Typewriter, Mr. Deity. I could just put cameras in your house and watch those all day. Email me. I'll send you info for the setup I installed. I mean, nothing.
You're being watched, Aron. You're being watched.
Now, he's talking to you, dude.
No, but he was referencing my comment about you. So I think he's giving me tips. I can email him, and I'll be able to log into his feed and watch your animals all day long. I think that's the gist of it. Oh, there's Zurith again. I got to do Zurith. He's my man. She's my woman. $5 from Zurith Moonpaw. Watch out for those anal dwelling flying butt monkeys. First thing I do every morning when I get up. First thing I do.
I'm just imagining an ad with a cream.
Yes.
Take a banana suppository.
Yes. Get them out of there.
$5 from Sheridan Bernasconi. I'm sorry. Someone just buried a 2,000-pound bull in Texas.
Okay. That's good information.
The only way that would make sense is if they buried it in a barbecue pit. And bits of it will be available shortly.
For your consumption.
All right. Brian, it was a bucket
good right
of
now,
chuckles.
actually. Yeah,
it was a
great.
bucket of chuckles to have you on.
Always have a good time.
I it's surprising. I really did. I spent my childhood mostly in California, and I've been back only a couple of times momentarily since. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to when you and I can, like, I don't know, do whatever Californians do in your home state.
There we go. I don't know either.
Every time
I'm
I've met you,
homebound.
it's been someplace else.
Yes, it's
Dallas,
true. It's true.
Canada. Where was it? Vegas, of course.
Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Anyway,
let's not forget Melbourne.
that was brilliant.
That was
I
the best
had
thing
so
ever.
much fun with that. When I came out of the hotel and I saw you with that massive crowd of people around you,
Yes.
and I was just
I
so
wish
stoked with pride. Like, that's
I
Mr.
wish
Deity.
I wish someone had had cameras shooting what we did there that night, taking on the Christians and teaching them their own Bible. I don't know if you remember that, but they didn't believe that I said something was in the Bible, and they said, "No, I don't believe it." Luckily, we had enough to where I could show them right on my phone, and then they were like, "Oh shit. Oh no." That was awesome though. That was so much fun. I was taking the
My
theology, you were
conversations
taking
like
the
that,
so,
usually stand to, that's not what the Bible says. Then you show them that it says that. Well, that's not what the Bible means.
right. Heaven forbid.
$20 from Green Man Dave. Aron, look into green burial, especially I don't know how to pronounce that.
Eloise Burial Park.
Thank you very much for that,
Eloise,
because
is that what
I
it
am
is? Eloise?
seriously considering it. It's the best way I can think of to be,
Yeah.
to have the physical remains spent.
Yes.
Brian, we've come to the end. Good night, everyone. Say something, Brian.
Good night. Go watch my stuff.